What if I told you that you could see through anyone, spot their real nature, their hidden intentions, with just two simple observations? No mind games, no guessing, just pure psychological truth. Most people wear masks, showing you only what they want you to see. But behind every smile, every handshake, and every kind word, there are subtle clues that reveal who they truly are. Want to know what they are? Stick with me, because once you learn this, you'll never see people the same way again. The first thing, how they treat those who can't do anything for them. Want to know a person's true nature? Watch how they treat people who have nothing to offer, waiters, janitors, cashiers, or even strangers on the street. A person who is only kind to those they need is not truly kind. They're just strategic. Do they dismiss, belittle, or ignore those they see as beneath them? That's their real character showing. One of the most revealing tests of character is how a person treats those who have no power, no influence, and nothing to offer in return. Psychologists call this the waiter rule. It's based on the idea that a person's true nature is exposed when interacting with someone they don't feel the need to impress. Studies show that people with high emotional intelligence and strong moral character tend to treat everyone with respect, regardless of their status. Here are some hidden red flags to watch for. Do they acknowledge people who serve them? If someone never says thank you to cashiers, cleaners, or receptionists, it's because they don't see them as equals. Do they change how they act depending on who's watching? Are they nice to strangers when you're around, but dismissive when alone? That's a performance, not real kindness. How do they react when someone makes a mistake? Do they mock, belittle, or get unnecessarily angry? People who can't handle others' imperfections often lack emotional maturity. Do they take advantage of people who have no power to fight back? For example, do they borrow money from friends and never return it, knowing the other person won't insist? If someone only respects people who can help them, it means their kindness is a transaction, not a reflection of who they truly are. Now let me give you a piece of advice. If you're in a relationship, a friendship, or even a business partnership with this type of person, be prepared. The moment they no longer need you, their behavior toward you will change. These are few examples of how their character gives them out. The restaurant test. Imagine going on a date with someone. They're charming, funny, and polite to you, but then they snap at the waiter for taking too long, or they don't even make eye contact while placing their order. That moment tells you everything you need to know about their real personality. The workplace test. You might notice a co-worker who is extremely respectful toward the boss, but dismissive or rude toward the cleaning staff. This behavior reveals a fake personality, someone who respects power, not people. The everyday test. Have you ever seen someone who treats their friends well but ignores a stranger struggling with their groceries? Or someone who is warm toward people they admire but indifferent to those they deem unimportant? That's a sign of selective kindness, not genuine character. Carl Jung's work on the shadow self suggests that these behaviors stem from deep-seated insecurities and a need for dominance. A person who only respects those they fear or admire is often hiding a darker side, one that surfaces when they believe there are no consequences. But there's one more thing you need to pay attention to, one that reveals even deeper truths. Stay with me. The second thing, how they act when they have power. The real test of character isn't in how someone behaves when things are easy. It's in how they act when they're in control. Give a person authority, money, or influence, and watch closely. Do they use it to uplift others, or do they become arrogant, manipulative, or cruel? Power doesn't change people. It reveals who they truly are. If you really want to see someone's true character, watch what they do when they have power. This can be power over resources, influence over others, or simply control in a given situation. Power reveals the real personality beneath the surface because it removes the constraints of fear and consequence. Power strips away the need to pretend. People no longer have to impress, beg, or play nice. They reveal who they truly are. Psychologists have long studied the effects of power on human behavior. One of the most well-known studies, conducted by UC Berkeley psychologist Dace Keltner, found something shocking. When people gain power, they often become less empathetic, more impulsive, and more likely to break ethical rules. This is what he calls the power paradox. The idea that people tend to rise to power because of positive traits like kindness and empathy, but once they have power, they often lose those very qualities. But why does this happen? When someone feels powerful, their brain chemistry literally changes. Studies using brain scans show that people in power experience less activity in the mirror neuron system, the part of the brain responsible for empathy. This means they literally care less about others. They begin to see people as means to an end, rather than as fellow human beings. Now let's look at few instances where we can find power-revealing character. The workplace example. Imagine you have a colleague who is friendly and supportive when they're at the same level as you. But once they get promoted, everything changes. Suddenly, they stop acknowledging you in the hallway. They micromanage your work. They dismiss your ideas in meetings. This isn't a coincidence. It's a shift in power dynamics revealing their true nature. Why? Because power has given them a new sense of control, and they're choosing to exercise it unfairly. It's not the promotion that changed them. It's the mask slipping now that they have authority. On the flip side, a person with true character will treat their employees with the same respect they did before. Instead of micromanaging, they'll uplift and support their team. Instead of controlling, they'll empower. The relationship example. Power doesn't just exist in business or leadership, it exists in personal relationships too. Think about relationships, whether romantic, family, or friendships. A good person, when given the upper hand, whether emotionally, financially, or socially, will still treat you with respect and fairness. But someone with a weak moral character will exploit your vulnerabilities. Have you ever noticed how some people change when they know you need them? A friend who was once kind starts to belittle you when they feel superior. A romantic partner who once cherished you suddenly becomes controlling once they know you love them. This happens because power imbalances shift behavior. If someone is only nice when they need you, but turns cold once they feel in control, that's a major red flag. These behaviors are not accidents. They are signs of deeper traits emerging when power removes social constraints. A real friend, a real partner, or a real good person will treat you the same whether they hold power over you or not. The social status test. Someone who was humble and down to earth suddenly starts treating others as inferior once they gain fame, money, or recognition. Ever noticed how some celebrities become unrecognizable after success? That's not change, it's unmasking. Carl Jung argued that power strips away the persona, the mask we wear in society. When we no longer need approval, the raw self emerges. If that self is cruel, manipulative, or selfish, it was always there. Power just removed the filter. The historical example, that is power and corruption. History is filled with people who started as heroes and ended as tyrants. Many dictators began as revolutionaries, fighting against injustice and inequality, only to become even worse than the system they overthrew. Proving that their desire for power was never about helping others, it was about dominating them. Kings and rulers who once promised freedom turned oppressive the moment they had total control. As the famous Abraham Lincoln quote goes, "Nearly all men can stand adversity, but if you want to test a man's character, give him power." This is why Carl Jung emphasized that understanding the shadow self, the hidden part of our personality, requires paying attention to how someone behaves when they have the ability to do whatever they want. because that's when their real self comes out. Carl Jung argued that these individuals never changed. They always had these traits inside them. Power simply removed the need to hide them. Power can corrupt, but it doesn't corrupt everyone. So what makes the difference? Self-awareness. People who understand their own weaknesses are less likely to be controlled by them. A person who has explored their shadow self, as Jung called it, will be able to resist the temptations of power. Strong values. If someone is guided by virtue, morality, and fairness, they won't let power change them. They see power as a responsibility, not a tool for domination. Accountability. The most dangerous people in power are those who have no one to hold them accountable. Surround yourself with people who aren't afraid to challenge you. What does your power say about you? It's easy to judge others, but here's a harder question. How do you act when you have power? Do you treat people differently when you have an advantage? Do you show kindness only when it benefits you? Would you still be the same person if no one was watching? The way you answer these questions will define your true character. Now, if you're already dealing with someone like this, the first step is to acknowledge the reality. Stop making excuses for them. Once you do that, here's how to protect yourself. 1. Distance yourself emotionally. If cutting them off completely isn't an option, start by creating emotional distance. Reduce how much you share with them, especially your weaknesses or struggles. They might use them against you later. 2. Test their character. Early, before trusting someone, observe how they treat others when they think no one is watching. 3. Set clear boundaries. People like this will test your limits. They'll guilt trip, manipulate, or gaslight you into doing what benefits them. Don't fall for it. If they push your boundaries, reinforce them. Example: if they make rude comments, say, "I won't engage in conversations that put me down." If they guilt trip you, respond with, "I understand you're upset, but my decision stands." 4. Don't try to fix them. Many people waste years hoping someone will change. The hard truth: if they wanted to change, they already would have. Instead of waiting for them to become a better person, invest your time in people who already treat you well. 5. Keep control over your own life. People like this often try to make you feel dependent on them. Stay in control, emotionally, financially, and mentally. Have a support system outside of them. If they're a boss or a family member, start planning ways to reduce their influence over your decisions. 6. Watch how they handle conflict. When things don't go their way, do they lash out, guilt trip, or seek revenge? That's a sign of a toxic personality. 7. Trust the signs, not the excuses. Carl Jung believed that we often ignore the truth because it's uncomfortable, but the longer you ignore it, the deeper their impact on you. If they act entitled, belittle others, or suddenly become arrogant after gaining an advantage, take that as a warning. If someone consistently disrespects, manipulates, or uses you, it's time to step back. Now that you understand how to truly see someone's character, the question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you start paying closer attention to how people treat those who can't offer them anything? Will you begin to notice how they act when they have power? Because once you see these patterns, you can't unsee them. This awareness gives you an incredible advantage. It protects you from deception, helps you build stronger relationships, and most importantly, allows you to surround yourself with people of integrity. But it also challenges you, because if you want to recognize true character in others, you must also be willing to reflect on your own. How do you treat those beneath you? How do you act when given power? True growth starts with self-awareness. So ask yourself, if someone were watching you with this same lens, what would they see? If you found this video eye-opening, don't just let it end here. Hit that like button, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more insights into human psychology, self-mastery, and personal growth. And now, I want to hear from you. What's one behavior you've noticed in people that revealed their true nature? Drop it in the comments below and let's start a conversation. Thanks for watching, and remember, character isn't what we say,